of course, his decision to allow pressmen to film his private residence earlier today when, of course, he allowed that based on some claims that Professor Frimpong Boateng was making earlier in his Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining report, claiming that parts of the garden of the president was used actively for illegal mining activities. Today, we are getting a sense of how the president's garden is looking like. We'll be getting more shortly from Elton Brobe. But first, let's hear from, of course, court correspondent Joseph Akable, who has details of what it is that Professor Boateng has been indicating, pointing out in that report. We'll get excerpts of what it's been said in that report for you. But earlier today, our presidential correspondent, Elton Brobe, was there in the president's private residence, giving us a sense of what transpired.
So in 2021, Professor Frimpong Boateng, then chairman of the ministerial committee that was responsible for stopping illegal mining, wrote to the chief of staff upon a request by the chief of staff to furnish the office on the work of the ministerial committee and then offer a way forward to address the issue of illegal mining or galamsey. Now, the response, which was supposed to be a confidential document, has become a matter of intense media scrutiny in the last few weeks because of the content in the report, where he alleges that some government functionaries were actually engaged in galamsey, frustrated the works of the anti-galamsey committee. But one key issue that came out was the fact that illegal mining was actually taking place in the residence of President Akufo-Addo at Kyebi, the president's hometown. Now, page 29 of the documents makes reference to a call he received from somebody who works at the National Security Secretariat. And this call, the person said that somebody, and he described the person as the Kyebi youth organizer of the MPP, had undertaken illegal mining in the residence, private residence of President Akufo-Addo at Kyebi in the eastern region. According to him, he followed up on the complaint and found out that it was indeed true, and that they had to quickly mobilize some excavators and bulldozers to restore the vegetative cover of the president's garden and also reclaim the land. Now, today, we are at Kyebi, the hometown of President Akufo-Addo, and indeed standing right in front of the president's private residence. Now, we're going to take a look inside the residence and to establish whether or not something of that nature actually took place. One of the households is here with me. His name is, you are live on joining. What is your name?
My name is Christopher Akurumolga.
And you are a member of the household of the president?
Yes, please, I am.
Right, so this residence that we are standing in front of, can you describe who occupies this residence?
Yes, the place is a residential area for the president. And actually, we have an old lady who stays here by name Antifia. And then we are also here 24/7 for security reasons.
Right.
So
you want to walk us into the residence?
Yes.
Let's go. So we're going to walk into the residence of President Akufo-Addo. This is you can call it the village house of the president here at Kyebi in the eastern region. So this is the compound.
Yes, this is the compound that we have the security post here. We have the security post here, which we have national security and then police in the house here 24/7. Okay. Yes.
And then on our left is the main residence, isn't it?
Yes, and that is the building you can see over here. Yes.
All right. So this house sits, if you like, on a 1 acre land. Is that what it is?
It's about 1.5 acre. Yes,
acre.
Yes, right. Land.
So
yes.
Apart from what we are seeing here, is there any other land that belongs to the president within this premises, or this is all that there is?
Oh, I think that's the only place that belongs to the president, and I think, yes, you can all see. Yes.
So the complaint is that according to Professor Frimpong Boateng in his document to the Chief of Staff, he received a call from a national security operative, and in this call, the person said that the Kyebi youth organizer of the MPP was undertaking illegal mining or galamsey, which had resulted in the destruction of the president's garden. Can you point us to the garden which is in reference here?
Yes, I may say we don't have any garden in the house, as we can all see. We can all see this palm nut trees. That is over about 40-something years or 50-something years that we all came and met. And then there are big trees that are here that even the president himself is somebody who really likes trees and those kind of. So since I have been here, nobody allows to take even let me say, a leaf from a tree.
Let's move forward. And indeed, what I see in front of us is perhaps a very open area which could best pass for the garden of the residence of the president. Could this be the garden that Professor Frimpong Boateng made reference to, that it was the place that this youth organizer of Kyebi undertook illegal mining activity that destroyed part of the garden, and he had to bring in excavators to restore the vegetation cover of the garden and also reclaim the land? Could this be the place that he spoke about in this document to the Chief of Staff?
Yes, I think maybe this is all what we have as his land. You see, so we don't have a special garden that we said we have a garden here. It's a compound. And then actually, that is all what we can see here around. You know, there's nothing been changing in the house here. So if somebody is here to say there was a garden and there was a galamsey mined out, we can all see the difference between a mined out area and somewhere that is not mined. All these trees is a typical evidence to prove to everyone to know that these trees is more than about maybe 40-something years, which is older than my age.
But let's look at this place. This place is quite bare. From where we are standing up to the wall, it's quite bare. Yes. And this could at best pass for a garden in the residence. Okay. Has there been any mining activities or activity within this compound as far as you've been here as one of the households of the president?
Not at all, because looking at what I want to even say, looking at the gate, where is the excavator going to pass to the house? So I think I can lead you to go around the whole place to see for yourself as to such this thing that he's complaining of has indeed taken place.
For how long have you worked in this house?
Oh, I have been here for almost about, let me say, 7 years.
7 years?
Yes.
So between 2020 and 2021, you were telling us that there was no point that illegal mining activity took place in this compound.
Not at all, not at all. The security are here 24/7. So how can the security be here and then we allow people to come in that we are coming to do galamsey? What is the purpose of the security being in the house?
What about beyond the walls of the president?
Yes, I think we can fly even if a drone or any other to go around to see whatever that is around the surrounding. Nothing of that nature. There is a house that is just, at the back of the yard. And I think that place doesn't belong to the president.
So what is, when we heard the news about the matter in question about the president's residence being turned into an illegal mining site, how did you receive it as member of the household?
I was very, very shocked with that high positions carrying themselves so low to that extent of telling lies. And I see it to be a serious propaganda, and I don't see what sense in it, that there is a house here and then with the trees here up to this stage, and I don't know how we were being able to dig the gold, remove the trees and then brought the trees back again. So the trees here speaks for us, and I don't think we have to. Yes, the trees here and the surrounding itself speaks for us.
Does the president come here often?
Oh, okay. For security reasons, I cannot disclose that.
All right, thank you very much. Let me also engage some members of the party who are here. We have so many people. We have so many people from Kyebi, and I want to believe that they are members.
Except of what transpired earlier when presidential correspondent Elton Brobe visited one of the president's facilities. We're not sure if this is the facility Professor Frimpong Boateng was referring to in that report, but there's a need for us to have a conversation on this. I want to bring in now Dr. Solomon Owusu. He's a mining expert joining us all the way from Colorado in the United States of America. He's a mining expert, of course, has an extensive understanding of how these activities unfold. But just before we get into that conversation, Doc, I want us to understand the perspective of Professor Frimpong Boateng. And that's where my colleague Joseph Akabley, our court correspondent, has been going through the document for us so we can understand what it is that the Prof has been talking about. Joe, let's start off from the said garden that Professor Frimpong Boateng was talking about. Did he refer to a garden, and in which part of Kyebi was he talking about?
So I'll just go ahead and read specifically from what the report says. And this is captured, like Elton did indicate, on page 29 of the report. It reads that the impunity in the eastern region is exemplified by near unbelievable activity in Kyebi. And he goes on to say that I had a telephone call from Mr. Eric Entry of the Office of the President, and he narrated that a youth organizer of the MPP in Kyebi was excavating for gold in a field close to the house of His Excellency the President of the Republic. When we checked, it was true. Indeed, part of the garden of the president had been affected. Apparently, the president did not know about this.
Did he say close? Did he say close to the garden, or parts of the garden?
So he says two things. He says two things. The first point he makes is that excavation was being done in a field close to the house of His Excellency the President.
Okay, so a first point is established that close to the garden of the president, there was some activity going on there. And then he proceeds to point out another point.
Yes, he says, when we checked, this was true. And he says, indeed, part of the garden of the president had been affected. Apparently, the president did not know about this. We quickly dispatched a bulldozer and an excavator to the area to reclaim the land and vegetate it. I need not say that nothing happened to the local youth organizer who caused the damage. And so the reference is, one, to a field close to the house, and secondly, the fact that it had affected the garden of the president.
Okay, so these are two distinct areas he's talking about. A place, portion close to that of the president's garden, and then the effects having crossed over to a portion of the president's garden, as we're pointing out from this report. Interesting points there, of course, from Joseph Akabley, giving us a sense of what's happening. But, of course, there's a need for us to explain this. Joe, if you're still with us, one more issue, Joseph, before you go. The point about when the context and the time frame at which this report was issued. This is supposed to be a report that was issued in 2021, correct?
This report was submitted in 2021.
Right.
The other difficulty with this particular document is that in terms of the recollection of the events, it is not dated. So, for instance, the reference to the Eastern region and the president's residence and all that, a specific date is not given to that particular incident, except that we know that this report was authored and submitted to the presidency in March of 2021.
Yeah, so at least a year would have passed.
Yes, I mean more than a year.
Sure. That for sure. Thanks for joining us, Joseph Akabley, our court correspondent, of course, going through excerpts of the accusations being made by Professor Frimpong Boateng. I want to bring in now Dr. Solomon Owusu joining us from the U.S. He is even at post right now as we speak, so it gives you a sense that he's very deep into these issues of mining. Doc, thank you for your time. Let's start off from the technicalities. What we see now is a field that looks very green. But if a land has been reclaimed, how are you able to tell, or otherwise?
Yeah, thank you very much. I think reclamation is simply a process of improving a land or lands such that it can be used for more suitable intensive use. A land can be reclaimed such that you cannot determine whether it was even degraded. That is the difference between a land that is degraded and a land that had been degraded and reclaimed. It involves filling, leveling, and revegetation. So according to Professor Frimpong Boateng, they reclaim the land and revegetate it. So in my view, it would have been better for them to take Professor Frimpong Boateng there to see where they reclaim the land. Because according to the report, they checked and it was true that the land had been, degraded.
Yeah, but we need to state that this is the account of Professor Frimpong Boateng alone.
Yes.
And you're saying we should have taken the prof there?
Yeah, instead of taking party members and all these people there that I saw on your television, why didn't they take prof there to let them locate where exactly he went to check and it was true that he revegetated the place? That was what I think it would have been better for us to do, because a land can be reclaimed such that you can't determine whether it was degraded some time ago. So that is the difference, in my view.
So, and within which period? We need to also check out that technicality. If a land has been reclaimed, say at least within a period of a year, would you have any trace or evidence or whatsoever pointing out that some sort of mining activity are taking place there?
Well, I think reclamation is the last stage of the mining cycle. After mining, processing the ore, getting the gold, selling and all that, you have to reclaim the land. So reclamation is the last part. Unfortunately, in Ghana, we don't see that thing going on, especially from the small-scale mining sector. That's where you see the lands degraded everywhere. So a land can be reclaimed such that it will be difficult for you to see whether it was once degraded. And that one, they can send an expert there to check, right? They can send Professor Frimpong Boateng there and send expert as well to check and give an expert opinion on whether it was once degraded or not. I think that would have been fair for Ghanaians to know whether what Professor Frimpong Boateng said was true or false. My brother, there is a saying that if the crocodile comes from beneath the water and come and tell you that the crab's grandmother is dead, you should believe the crocodile, right? Because the crocodile stays in the water with the crab and the crab's grandmother. So it is coming from a renowned professor who was appointed as the chairman of the Interministerial Committee of Fully Government. I don't think he will say all this without providing evidence. According to him, he has evidence to substantiate all the claims. So why don't we allow him to also be on the field and show us where it was mined and reclaimed? That's my view.
You've been, of course, practicing elsewhere. You look at the example, for instance, from where you are, the United States of America, and what's happening in our part of the country. Why do you feel that things are going out of hand in terms of how we are handling the mining sector here in our country?
Mining is something that is providing food on the table to millions of people. A lot of people don't know, especially small-scale mining. Apart from those who operate the small-scale mining, their colleagues, their immediate families, the other people that they support, all the financial aspects come from the small-scale mining. It is something that is difficult to eradicate right away. Unfortunately, our leaders are not looking at finding pragmatic solutions to address the negative impacts associated with the small-scale mining. That is where we need to focus. Because, my brother, out of the 16 regions, 13 regions, about 13 regions, small-scale mining and galamsey are everywhere. So it is difficult. Why don't we engage people with the requisite knowledge and experience to come up with solutions to help the nation? At the end of the day, if Nana Addo succeeds all of us are succeeded, right? And that is what we all should avoid politics in this Galamsey matter and focus on the solution.
And for you, where lies that solution?
I think I've said it several times. One, we need to come up with a methodology that we can. You can see me right now.
Yeah.
I'm at work. I just came to office to run this interview, and I'll go back to the phone. We might go there. Where I work is a good one. We might go, but we don't pollute. We don't degrade lands, anyhow, like the way they do in Ghana. We can come up with standard operating procedures that they can follow to mine in environmentally friendly manner, in a sustainable way that they can mine, protect the water bodies after they reclaim. Because look, if you look at the photo that you are showing at your background,
you mean the president's garden?
Heaps. Yes, you can see some heaps. If you go to a typical Galamsey site, you can see the heaps. After they wash, the sand is still there, right? They have dozers, they have excavators. Can we come up with a way to cover those dugouts with the same sand and also bring maybe some clay or topsoil or loam soil or everything to spread it up, grow some trees or whatever? There are so many ways we can do it. But these people are not ready to listen to the people who have the knowledge to have. And that is where we are having the problem. Look, in my view, the report that Professor Frimpong-Boateng wrote, 90% is true, maybe 10% or 5% is false, and didn't include certain things. I see it to be irrelevant based on the fact that he needed a report, a progress report, to give to the next minister to improve on what he did. It was not about expressing your frustrations and reporting people or whatever. We need to get a pathway, a solution to this problem. And as a professor and chairman of IMC, what did you do? What has improved? That is where we need, and that is where he needed experts to help him. Anybody who saw the truth and came up with the truth that he had written, he boycotted, he opposed the person and all that. He fought with me, you know about it. He fought with you, he fought with a lot of people because he was not ready to listen to wise counsel in terms of mining. He is a specialist in cardiology and all that, we all know. But as I'm sitting here, I don't know anything about medicine, right? So if you give me a medical responsibility, I need to engage people who have the knowledge and experience to help me to succeed so that the whole nation succeeds. And that's what he failed to do. And now he's reporting the people who were, frustrating him and engaging in all that. I don't see the report to be relevant. We should bullshit the report and move on.
But the germane issues he pointed out to about how, for instance, the mining industry is being handled here in our country. Is this something that you're conversant with?
Oh, yeah, because, my bro, I work in the mines in Ghana, Gofos, Kappa. I worked there for 6 to 7 years before coming here to do my master's, PhD, and all that, right? I know how mining is operated in Ghana. Galamsey, when I was in secondary school, I was doing Galamsey to feed myself, to pay my school fees.
Really?
Oh, yes. Vacations. You won't see me in the house in the morning, in the afternoon. You will only see me in the evening. I will go but that time we were not using excavators and all those, sophisticated equipment. We were using just shovel, spools to wash and, those kind of things. And now the Galamsey has been mechanized. So we need to also find solutions to address the negative impacts associated with the mechanized small-scale mining. And that's what the government is failing to do. Chasing the Galamseyers, arresting them, that is not the solution, my brother. The work they will do. But let's find a way a methodology that they will follow to ensure that their work is environmentally friendly.
But the government, for instance, we need to go, but the government, for instance, has spoken about the community mining scheme, which is a more sustainable way of dealing with the problem. You don't believe that that's the way to go?
I don't believe. Brekuduka is my good friend, and sometimes we talk. The difference between, my brother, let me tell you, the difference between community mining, licensing small-scale mining by the individuals, and then the Galamsey illegal mining is that, one, the Galamsey did not register their companies. Community mining is operated by the government and it's official. All these three categories, they all pollute water bodies and degrade land. My brother, take your informants to go to a community mining site, a licensed small-scale mining site, an illegal mining site, and see the difference. There's no difference. They all operate, they all extract the gold with the same method. So they all pollute water bodies, degrade lands. And that is what people don't know. There is no clear distinction between the three. They all do the same thing because the method that they follow is not the right way to mine. They are all not mining sustainable. So if Mekuduka, he's my own friend, if he comes to you and tell you that the community mining is improving the environment, tell him that your friend Dr. Solomon Usu is telling him he's a liar. Tell him. Yes. Nobody can convince anybody in the country that community mining is a solution. It's a more formal way, right? It's a more, I would say, formalized way of knowing the people involved, knowing the site, the license and all that. But as far as pollution and degradation is concerned, you can't distinguish between community mining and galamsey. They are all the same.
Interesting revelations there. But I'm sure that in the coming days, we'll definitely interact some more on what's happening. I'm grateful, Dr. Also, that you've been able to spend some time. You're still working, so wish you the best of luck for the rest of the day. Dr. Solomon also joining us from the United States of America there on issues of illegal mining. Well, the Lands and Natural Resources Minister, Samuel Abu-Jinapor, has today been speaking on this controversial matter.
Headed by President Akufo-Addo will not countenance that. The president will not countenance any interference. If there's one person who's been committed to this fight against illegal small-scale mining, it is President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. I've worked with him closely, and I mean closely and closely. And I do know that his commitment to this fight is totally unflinching. And indeed, it will be scandalous, and it will be far-fetched, and it will be impossible for President Akufo-Addo to interfere in the fight against illegal small-scale mining. Indeed, on the contrary, he is the man who's giving me all the courage, who's giving me all the strength, who's giving me all the backing and authority and mandate to go frontal in dealing with this.
And be sure to catch some updates on these issues relating to illegal mining later on in our subsequent bulletins. You're watching The Pulse on the Joy News channel. When we return, some pupils in some basic schools across the country have bemoaned the poor nature of food being provided under the school feeding program. We'll tell you why they are appealing to government to increase funding for the program. It's coming up here on The Pulse. Please stay.